Welcome to the Fierce Kind Mama of Multiples podcast. This podcast is for anyone raising multiples, twins, triplets, or more. I speak to inspiring parents of multiples who have healed from unexpected pregnancies and birthing experiences and who candidly share the highs and lows of raising multiples. I also speak to the professionals that work with multiple birth families. Together, we cover the practicalities of raising more than one baby at a time, as well as enhancing the emotional well-being of caregivers and children alike. Come join us as we laugh, cry, and share our personal and professional wisdom on all things multiples. I'm your host, Dr. Christina Kebetza, and I am a fierce, kind mama of multiples. Welcome to today's show. Today I'm joined by Monique Thomas-Potter. Monique is a reflexologist working in the UK in Essex. She's also a mother of twin boys. You're going to hear Monique share about her journey as a twin mom, which necessitated a career change into running her own business. You're going to hear us talk more about reflexology and its benefits. I feel like Monique really stresses the importance of self-care and of creating a support network around you, particularly in those early days. So I hope you enjoy this discussion. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me or Monique. Our details are in the podcast show notes. Before I welcome Monique onto the show, I want to remind you of some free resources that I have available at my website, fiercekindmama.com. Click on the free resources tab. From there, you will find a guide for expectant parents to be physically, financially, and emotionally prepared for your multiple birth journey. You will also find a guide on my 5 top tips for handling stress and overwhelm, perfect for current parents of multiples, as well as soon-to-be parents who want to be fully informed and prepared for what lies ahead. Now, on to today's interview. So welcome, Monique, to the show. Lovely to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, why don't we start with you telling us a bit about yourself and your multiple birth journey?
Okay, so I'm Monique, and I have got twin boys. They're now age 5. Life is very lively, very busy. And I also have, within the last few years, I started a business, a holistic business. And I provide reflexology, Indian head massage, body massages, OP ear candling, crystal healing, etc. And yeah, the business was born because of the children, and I found that the 9 to 5 was really hard. It wasn't allowing me to be able to, give the time that I needed to my children. I've always felt pressured. And I created my service that I provide, around the children. I found that life became a little easier, that I could, be there when it was a nativity play or be there when it was parents' evening, and I wouldn't have, to be stuck in a meeting at work, or, I could plan my life around the children and around the family, and around the mum that I wanted to be, because sometimes I find when we're rigid and we an office role, it can prevent us from being able to be at the things that we want to be because we have another meeting, or we have, to be with somebody, or, so I think it's given me that flexibility, to be able to, be there for my children, and also, do something that I really love. I think it's important that, we're only here once, and that we enjoy what we do and spend more time doing those things, and, create memories with our families, create memories in our lives, and do the things we want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. That's wonderful. Thank you for sharing that. I just wonder if I can touch on some of the things that you said around having to change the focus of your work, perhaps, or change how you worked after having twins. Could you tell us a bit more about that? Like, what were you doing before the twins were born?
I've always worked sort of doing office roles. And I just found that, you'd have a lot of meetings to attend. You'd have a lot of, you know, like appointments with people. You'd have so many other commitments. And it just wasn't working for us. And, sometimes employers don't always understand when you have children, and that's always going to be your first priority. So yeah, it just had to be, a shift around of my priorities as well, because, sometimes your children get sick, and then you feel the sense of guilt that actually you have to pull yourself away from, that role that is, paying your bills, but you have to pull yourself away from that role that, needs you as well. And I felt very torn in between what my children needed and also what my role was asking of me as well. Um, so yeah, that was the main reason sort of behind it. And also, working late sometimes, your children then, missing out on you being a mum at home with them, and they want you to be there, in the evening to put them to bed and have their bath and stuff. So yeah, it's kind of a decision that I made in terms of, my well-being as well as their well-being, because you can't spread yourself too thinly, at least, at the moment when I'm doing my holistic services, that I can, if I want to take a day off, I can take a day off. It's not necessarily structured around somebody else. I have that control over my day and my schedule, really, and a lot of the clients that I work with are fertility clients, pregnancy clients. I work with mums postnatally and also some menopause clients. So people are quite generally quite understanding that I have children, and also a lot of them have children, and they, the work that is very flexible around family life. If they have a child who is unwell, I can appreciate that and understand that. Or similarly, if I have a child who's unwell, and then, they understand. So yeah, it works very nicely in that way as well.
Yeah, I think that's really important. Like the work needs to suit your lifestyle. And then you also have to have, I guess, clients that understand your situation as well, and parents or other people that are going through similar stages of life stages like pregnancy and that kind of thing will have more of that understanding. But I hear you when you talk about being pulled between like the job and family, and I think so many people can probably relate to that. I know you're based in the UK. I just want to talk briefly about when you brought your babies home, so going back to casting your mind back to those early days, did you feel well supported? And what types of services, if any, did you access and found helpful?
Well, when I brought my boys home, I was so overwhelmed because I'd gone from being a mum of zero, or being pregnant, to having two babies. And me and my husband found out at the 12-week scan, only because we'd been on holiday at the time. And when we got back, it was the 12-week scan. But I'd been so unwell in the pregnancy, had a lot of morning sickness, more so than, anything else. Just couldn't even go out on the holiday. It was that bad. And I got to the appointment when after we got back from holiday, and I said to the lady, she was putting the jelly on my tummy and everything. And I said to her, I said, I've been terribly sick in the pregnancy. And she said, oh, okay. Um, and then as she turned the screen to me and my husband, she turned the screen around and she said, oh, the reason why you've been so sick in the pregnancy, as she turned the screen around, is because you're not just having one baby, you're having two. So we were just like, oh my God. So that was a big shock. But we we kind of we kind of shook ourselves up after the big shock and surprise, and we really look forward to them joining the world. And I was really excited and happy, and it was lovely to be able to tell my family. So that was really nice. And then obviously when they came, we found out that there were boys as well at the time, because I just thought I've got so much organizing to do. I need to know if there were boys or girls, or one of each. So then obviously getting everything organized, buying two of everything, or so we thought. Um, and yeah, just getting ready for them. So then they arrived, and I found that my family were really supportive, especially within the first sort of 6 months. I had a lot of family support. And I would say probably after that point, it kind of dwindled a little bit, which, you feel like, where's my village here? But I think sometimes people have it in their mind that actually, you're doing great at this, and actually you can do this. And I could do it, but I think sometimes you still need and want that support to be around you. I know that my family are there if I do need them, and but it's like sometimes you look at other families and you can feel like sometimes they will have people visiting every week, and sometimes I do feel like, oh, it would be nice to have that support on a weekly basis. Um, so myself and my husband have had to, pay out for childcare and things, but it would have been nice to have a little bit more of a village around. But I think my village has been, as well as family help from time to time, but my village has been my friends. And I think as a twin mum, I joined a local twins club, and that was such a great form of support. And I still have some really great friendships from there. Yeah, I definitely think friendships has helped me through this journey. And, whether it be the highs, the lows, being able to pick up the phone or see a friend when you're going through that tough time, or even good times, it's really helped. And having my supportive husband as well, that's been really lovely. And, when they turned 5, we kind of high-fived each other that, we've made it. We've done really well to actually have got this far, because it tests all part of your life. It tests your career with your identity, tests your relationship, with the ups and downs, the sleepless nights, you're both sometimes at each other's throats because you're just like, this is so hard. But I think it's made me and my husband stronger over the years, actually, because we've done it together, and actually we can see the fruits of our labor now with our children and how well they're doing. You get the positive feedback from the school. Oh, your children are really lovely. Your children are kind. They're thoughtful. And that when it was the first parent evening, I nearly cried because I thought, wow, this is what we've done. And actually, we're seeing the fruits of our labor now, even though we've had those such tough times. Is actually so worth it to see how well they're shaped, and we're shaping those human beings of the future, which is just, yeah, it's priceless, and it's amazing, really.
Yeah, it's an amazing privilege, isn't it, to be a
Yeah,
parent and to be a parent of multiples and to witness, I
yeah,
guess, the twinship and the connection. Also, though, I
yeah.
think something you said that was so important that I want to touch on is, the importance of the village and the support network and having
Mhm.
people in your life who understand. And I think that that's one of the main benefits of the twins clubs that, I know various countries have them. We have them where I'm based here in Australia, but I know that there are other countries like the UK, Canada, America, other places have their own local multiple birth associations. But I always tell people, go check them out, because I think that sometimes we forget that people have walked this path before us and they have a lot of wisdom to share. So I love
Mhm.
that especially, how lucky to have those friends that have also had twins that could share their experiences with you.
Yeah, because I think when you have twins, like nobody can prepare you quite for, when especially when they're newborn, that you're going around with the buggy, and sometimes you might be having a bad day, but everybody talks to you. They say, things like, "Oh, are they twins?" Which a lot of people can relate to with twins. Are they twins? Are they identical? Are they natural? Are they this? Are they that? And you get so much attention, and sometimes you're having a bad day, and you just want to say to everybody, just leave me alone, but you've got to feel like you've got to answer everybody. And yeah, nothing quite, I don't think we were prepared for that, especially myself. That how much attention that was going to be given to you, and everybody's looking, everybody comes to look in the buggy, and you just think, what, give me a little bit of space here. Um, but yeah, it's so different. Obviously I haven't got anything to compare it to, but sometimes people will try to compare having twins to having children at different ages, I found as well, which, I don't know. I've never had two different children at different ages to compare it to, but yeah, I think it's quite unique, the twin experience, because like, for example, I could be downstairs and I could be tidying up, and then they're upstairs, they're plotting together. So one will be flooding the sink and the other one will be drawing on the wall. And I'll just think, oh my God, there's always something happening. It's just a bit crazy. But I think in some ways that we wouldn't have it any other way, because that's life now. Um, so yeah, they definitely work together in good ways and in mischievous ways as well. So yeah,
Yes.
it's lovely.
Yeah. And when you were speaking, I was thinking, and you were talking about the people kind of with the intrusive questions or stopping you when you're pushing the pram and that kind of thing and asking you
Yeah.
questions. I think it's so important for parents of multiples to know when to, set boundaries, like with your time, with your energy, with your personal space. And that can be really tricky, when we want to be polite to strangers or even family and friends, but sometimes we also might just want to stay home in our pajamas and stay there all day and not have any visitors, not take visitors. So I think that is really important to stress.
And yeah, it can play havoc with your mental health. I think, and I've spoken to quite a few mums about that actually, and how the impact of having two has impacted their mental health, because I don't think it's something that's commonly spoken about, but maternal mental health is something that should be spoken about a bit more, I think, because we have twins and we kind of are just left to get on with it, but actually there's a lot of financial pressure because you've got two babies. There's a lot of emotional pressures. There's a lot of physical. Obviously, it affects your career. So that sometimes women have to give up their careers because they've got these two babies, and actually they've got to choose whether it's affordable to go back to work, um, or not. And that's actually part of your identity. So there's so many different areas that are affected, but I think definitely mental health has to be mentioned because you know, it's life changing, isn't it?
I couldn't agree more with what everything you just said around mental health and the importance of looking after yourself. And I'm really motivated. I suppose, this is exactly why I started the podcast. My online programs are all, because I'm a psychologist, they're all focused on mental, emotional well being. And really, I think one area that we don't do very well with, I think, from a mental health perspective, is prevention. Like we wait until problems arise and then we go, oh, I need to speak to a psychologist because I'm struggling. When, I think we could do a lot more if we could have better outcomes if we actually took a preventative approach and looked after our emotional well-being well before problems arise. So
Yes.
I'd love for us to talk about your work, because I think that part of what I'm hearing you say is that's a focus of your work, is helping women in particular during pregnancy, helping with fertility issues and that kind of thing. And also, I guess, helping them with their general well-being. So can you tell us a bit about, I know you said you provide services like reflexology and massage. Can you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so I started my business, think of it was about 3.5 years, 4 years ago. And I started it, I think it was just before lockdown and during when I was studying. Um, we was then in a pandemic, so I had a lot of case studies to write for my this was the start of my reflexology journey, which led me into the holistic side. Um, but before I whilst I was doing my course, it was the pandemic. So I had to work a lot to my husband's to my husband's like happiness. I had to work on his feet. So a lot of case studies had to come in, and I practiced on him. And yeah, we had to do, I think it was down to 70 case studies in the end, because it was supposed to be 100, but because we wasn't allowed to go into people's homes, I had to do them mostly on my husband. So yeah, my journey into sort of reflexology, where it all started, I would say definitely came from my Caribbean culture. So my grandmother, who is no longer with us, she she was very holistic, and she, you know, if you was ill or anything like that, she'd always make you a soup or go to the garden, pick something out there, and make you better if you had a cold or stomach problems. So that was quite ingrained into me from a young age, that actually, not necessarily, do we need to take medication for things? We might need to find a natural route first. So, and also I used to provide her when she had a bit of arthritis. I used to provide her with some massages in her hands, and so that kind of was where my love of holistic started. And I might have a headache, and my husband would go, "Oh, just take some tablets." I say, "Actually, I don't do that. I will take my water, or I'll go for a walk, or get an Indian head massage, or I still do that now. Do the thing, try the natural route first, and then if it's still not working, then maybe I might look into those things, but that won't be my first port of call." So that's where it started from. And then obviously I saw the course advertised, and I'd read a bit about it, and I said to my husband, "What do you think?" And he said, "Oh, maybe you should just go for it." But my boys were quite young then, and I thought, I don't know if I can do this, because we was having sleepless nights, and it was going to be like a year of study. But I put myself through it, and I said, "Okay, I'm going to give it a go." It was local to where I lived. And I started the course. Sometimes especially towards the end, I was up all night because I'd finally get them settled down, and then I'd have to get my, workout that I needed to complete. So then I'd go the whole night sometimes without any sleep. But it was worth it, because I think, being able to build something for yourself is, you know, yeah, it's just amazing, really. It's yours, you've created it, and you can, work around your family, and that's been the greatest thing. But I think, yeah, I really enjoy what I do, being able to obviously support um, mainly mums, and my main clientele is mums, mums to be, obviously fertility work, and how reflexology works. What it is really is the concept that within the feet, hands, or face, which is the areas that I work on, but one at a time usually. So if it's like a fertility or pregnancy treatment, I work on the feet. And it works on the concept that we have different zones and meridians of the feet, and our feet correspond with different areas in the body. And when we apply pressure to those areas, like acupressure points, when we apply pressure to those areas, we can help with natural healing in the body. So whether that be, to help with balancing your hormones, to help with improving your stress levels, improving your mood, relaxing you, helping you with sleep. It can help with lots of different things, but we're kind of massaging the feet. We're applying acupressure points, stimulation to the feet. And we're releasing. Sometimes it can be an emotional release. So sometimes people are holding on to, especially around infertility, they can be holding on to a lot of emotions, a lot of tension in their body. It can release anxieties around, continually, trying to conceive, but, maybe being unsuccessful, or worrying, if the person does get pregnant, worrying about, the success of that pregnancy. So it can be really a great emotional release for people. I also, in my treatments, I allow a little bit of extra time, because sometimes people want to talk afterwards. So that's quite nice to be able to have your own service where you can do that, and you're not just rushing off to the next person. And I think my clients really do like that, that I make time for them, because part of what the holistic service is, it's providing empathy to people and being a human being, not just just getting one person in and getting the next person in. So yeah, that's part of obviously what I do as well. But I have done extra training so that I can, respond to the needs of pregnancy clients or fertility clients. Um, and we don't just do the treatment. We work holistically, so we look at the client's lifestyle, stress factors, um, We look, where do they work, or they might stay at home, but we look at their lifestyle. Do they have children? What is the circumstances around them coming to me? What is the issues? Are there any areas of their health or well-being that we can improve, we can change, we can help? That if they're really stressed, how can we reduce that stress a little bit for them? If they're not having sleep, how can we help with that? So I look at clients very holistically, and with the fertility clients, I we can talk through supplementation that they might want to consider. We talk about nutrition as well. We help them understand their testing. So when they have hormone testing, we help them understand the hormone tests. We recommend for them to go to an andrologist, so that if there's a male factor around fertility, then we can look at that. But yeah, it's a whole package really, other than just the treatment. We look at the whole situation holistically. How is the relationship with a couple? Is it a happy relationship? Is there issues? Is that something that they need to work on? So we could potentially make a referral to counselling or other services. So we look at the whole picture. Is one of the couple taking drugs? Are they drinking too much? Are they overweight? We look at everything. So, but it's really good because actually it's also an education. I found that for a lot of women, they don't really always have an understanding of how their body works. So like for their reproductive health, obviously there's certain things that they would need to understand about their bodies, about ovulation, for example. And sometimes we as women don't know as much about our bodies that we need to know, and that's really essential for that, trying to conceive phase. So I found that a lot of the feedback that I've had has been very positive, and just you've helped me to understand how my body works, how my reproductive system works, when I'm ovulating, what the signs of ovulation are, and about my menstrual about my menstrual cycle and things like that. So yeah, it's very empowering, that kind of work, to be able to do that and to help people. So I really really enjoy it, and it's really nice to be able to kind of do it for my local community as well, because that's why I started it. I didn't want to be traveling here, there, and everywhere. I wanted to do it in my local community. Um, and there's more and more people that are kind of wanting to try holistic services before they kind of go to the GP, or they go down the IVF route. So yeah, it's really quite empowering for me to be able to provide that service to people. So yes.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you for that comprehensive explanation of what you do. I think it really helps to understand and put it into context. I'd love for us to maybe shift the conversation to just some advice, maybe, or what you would most like someone who maybe at an earlier stage of their multiple birth parenting journey, what would you like them to know?
I would probably say, like a little bit of what I was saying earlier around making some time for yourself, even if it's, as something as simple, say simple, but it's not always simple, but it's just try to make that little bit of time for yourself from the earlier days, even if it's having that hot drink, because babies can, lay down, or they can, sleep quite a bit, in the early stages. So just trying to make, not feeling guilty about making that little bit of time for yourself, to have that hot drink, or to, make some time to see a friend, or do something for you that's not just necessary for your child or children. Um, because I think we grow up in a society where we feel guilty for making time for ourselves, and actually, you know it seems like women and communities like think that you need to give everything to your child and leave yourself with nothing, and that's a sign of being a really great mum. And I think that needs to change, because actually, making time for yourself, and obviously, caring for your child's needs, doing what your child's needs, but making yourself important is what keeps us going. If we don't look after ourselves, the saying, that goes, you can't pour from an empty cup, is so true, because if we burn ourselves out, if we exhaust ourselves, which those early days can be very exhausting. I remember trying to, the early stage of trying to breastfeed twins was really hard, and I felt really put a lot of, guilt on myself, because I found it really challenging to be able to try and breastfeed two babies. They were both so hungry, and I felt like a bad mum that I was struggling to do it. And the pressure that I put on myself. But I think, yeah, making that time for yourself from the early stage, even if it's just once a month, once every other month, that you put in your diary something for you that you can do for you, whether it be going for a walk on your own, or going to meet a friend for coffee, or without the children, without your partner, um, and just making it be that bit of you time where you don't have to, be responsible for anyone else, and can just look after your own needs. Like I have at times been for a coffee without the children, and at first when you start doing it, you think, oh, this is weird. I can actually drink my coffee while it's hot, or I can actually have a conversation with a friend without being interrupted. Obviously, sort of in the last year and a half or so, I've started doing more of those things. So I think it was a few weekends ago, I went to London for my friend's birthday, and my husband said, "Oh, you're going to London?" And I said, "Yes, I am." So actually, it's like reclaiming who you were before you had these children, and it doesn't, you shouldn't feel guilty about, you know, doing those things, because that makes you you. And I think you start to enjoy life a lot more, and you start to be happier within yourself, when you start to reclaim who you used to be, even though life has changed and you're a mum, you're a wife, if you're married. But yeah, life changes in a big way, but you can still take back almost some parts of yourself that existed before the children, because it's really, really important that you are you, as well as being a mum, as well as being, who you are to everybody else, a carer, or whoever, whatever your other roles might be, but that you are you.
Absolutely. I think we wear so many hats as mothers, so many different roles that we have. And you've inspired me, Monique. I'm thinking, as you were talking, I was thinking, I want to go to London. And
You should. And even
yes, I
a friend
should.
of mine, even she said she really advocates for like solo travel, which is going to be I'm going to do it this year at some point. Go somewhere abroad on my own, and I've wanted to do it since last year, but I haven't had the time. But just have like a few days on your own to just focus on your own needs. Am I dehydrated? Do I need water? What do I want to eat? I can choose. I don't need to, see if my children like it or if they don't like it. And, do I want to shower? What time do I want to shower? All those sorts of things, which, we take for granted before we have children, but it's really a big thing, and just to have a few days on your own is something that I want to do this year, and I think I will. Um, and it also lets, the partner that you've got, um, make the rules. And it might be a bit crazy when you get home, but that's okay. Letting go, I think letting go of control is something else, because I think as mums, we like to be in control of things. I know I have done that, and I like to know, for example, if my husband was taking the kids out, I used to get the bag ready for him. I used to do everything for him to make it easy for him. But then after a while, I thought, why am I doing this actually? He's quite capable of packing the bag. He's quite capable of, getting the lunch ready. But I think sometimes we have to let go of that control, that actually everything has to be our way, everything has to be perfect, the way that we want to do things. Because actually, even like when your partner does those things, it might not be in the same way that you do those things, but that's okay.
Yeah,
Mm,
absolutely agree with sharing the load. I'm all for that. If you have a partner or other people you can rely on, absolutely share the load. Thank you,
absolutely.
Monique, so much for joining us today. Before we sign off, can you tell us where people can find out more about you and your services?
Yeah, of course. So I am on Instagram. My business is called Feel at Home Reflexology. I'm also on Facebook. And I'm currently updating my website at the moment, but mainly you can find me on Instagram and Facebook for the moment.
Wonderful. We'll put those links in the podcast show notes. Thank you, Monique, so much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure chatting with you.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me. It's been lovely to speak to you.
Thanks for listening to today's episode. If you like what you've heard, then please follow and leave a review so that other expectant and current parents of multiples like yourself can find this podcast and the valuable information it contains. I'd be so very grateful if you left a review and shared this with anyone you think could benefit from listening. If you have a particular topic you'd like me to cover on this podcast, feel free to reach out to me via my website, fiercekindmama.com. New episodes are released every second Wednesday, so I'll see you back here real soon. Any advice and information in this podcast is general only and has been prepared without taking into account your particular circumstances and needs. For tailored, individualized advice, please consult with a qualified professional.